like this is all life has to offer, huh? I know I've been there too. But there is a way out. And it starts here. Well, it can. It just depends on if you're ready to make that choice. But you can make that choice. You see, the thing about making a choice is you got to strive for it. You know, we get to believing that we can't. This is all life has to offer. But, you know, that's just the hopelessness that we've created. You know, and, you know, it's a system of thinking that we've taught ourselves to believe, and then, well, we've made a reality. We've made it our reality through our actions because this is what we believe. This is what we taught ourselves. And the empirical proof is there. You know, you look all around you, people go through so much shit, man. They go through horrific things, horrendous things in life, right? And they still become so successful. Why? Well, it's because they made a choice. And they didn't give up. Come hell or high water, every day, regardless of what happens, what got thrown in their goddamn path, they pushed and they went for it. As many days as it took, they made it because they were not going to be denied. We, on the other hand, as addicts or individuals living a lifestyle that leads to prison or early death, you know, or later leads to addiction, you know, we stay stuck in this cycle. You know, we put all this energy into going through all the motions it takes to keep up with our habit and addiction, or our habit and our lifestyle. You know, let's just say hustling, illegally selling drugs for one, you know. Yeah, you get to do a lot of things, but, you know, later on we'll get into it. It's a reason because the money comes so fast. There's a reason in that. All right, but, you know, we sit there and come hell or high water, we make sure that we get our fix, you know, and we raise the money however we got to do what we need to do to make sure that we're not sick, or that we need to go and get this product here, or, you know, get this person to get however much, you know, working on numbers, we make it happen. But as soon as we have a thought, or somebody close to us says, you know, we're so smart, we can do this, you know, we do all this well, we put all this energy into this, we could do this. And we're like, man, I can't do that. You know, this is just what my life is. This is what life has to offer me. But it's such bullshit, man. It's not what life has to offer you. This is what we offered life. This is what we were making our reality, because the truth is, if we put the same energy that we were putting in all that shit, chasing our habits, making sure we weren't sick, making sure we were doing everything that we needed to do during the day to get to, you know, to get to them goals. If we put that same energy into something positive that's going to lead us out of the misery, we're guaranteed to get there. As many days as it takes, we're going to get there. And one thing about that choice, we're getting out of the misery. We're eventually going to reach the other side. We start the journey that we're going to finish. We're never going to finish that journey, and life is never going to pay us back if we don't start the fucking journey. It's sad because I lived this way. I told myself that shit most of my life. This is just what it is. I hated prison. Hated jail. It's miserable. Granted, we don't show it because that's what we do. We've set ourselves up with these hopeless thoughts that are just barriers, that keep us from wanting anything or that we feel is going to let us down or disappoint us or prevent us from actually failing. When we're already failing because we're not trying. And I don't know, me, I definitely failed at it. I spent 18 years of my life in the fence. It's just like, okay, this is really what I'm going to do for the rest of my life. And I get it. We're there, we wear it, and we don't let it show, but we're miserable. Let's be real, man. Guys, women, you've been there. It sucks being there. You may have fun as much as you can while you're there, but that shit sucks. And it doesn't matter how much you make. When you break it down to your lawyers and making it through your bid, you not really made that much money. There's a reason. That's why it comes so fast, because it's short-lived one way or the other. It's like when you get to making a choice, and let's be real, like everything in life starts with a choice, a decision. Every single thing that you do, that you go and set out to do. Granted, life throws things at you that are not your decision, so don't try to mix up the words, but it starts with a decision. And then it's how you treat that decision, how you discipline yourself to work towards that decision. And now this shit ain't easy. I've been sober 2 years. And, it was a journey. There was times it seemed easy. And there was times it'd be like, man, I don't know how the hell I'm still doing this. I did it, man. And I'm here. And nowadays, I still have bad days. Now it's, the days feeling, sometimes you're just heavy and you don't want to get the fuck up out of bed. You just don't want to force yourself to do shit, you know what I mean, that you need to do. But, that's all part of it, because, me, I'm 48. I was in the streets for a very long time. The first time I got in trouble was I was 12 years old. All right. Then incarceration, after incarceration, my time on the street, as soon as I would get released, my clock was ticking. Because I was doing the same shit. I was partying. I was hustling. Yeah, I was getting high, but I wasn't really stuck in addiction per se then. Addiction didn't come later to about 34 years old, 34 years old is when this addiction, my main addiction, the heroin. And that lasted for a little bit, I want to say about 34, 35. So if I'm looking at 2012, 13 years ago, about 35. The addiction thing changes everything. But point being is I'm doing everything. I come home like I never left, trying to catch up in a hurry because, my clock's ticking. I know I'm going back. I accept it. You know what I mean? And that's a sickness that keeps us stuck, man. We just accept this way of life. This is our hand. This is the hand we were dealt, And we make excuses to when, man, we didn't have this or we didn't have that, man. That's bullshit. You gotta make a way. Just because you got it harder than the next, or what, it's still no excuse. It means you gotta work a little harder. But by God damn, it can still be done. One foot in front of the other, doing the next right thing, discipline, determination, motivation. As many days as it takes, you're guaranteeing yourself to reach success, and you're guaranteeing yourself to reach your goal or goals. Shit, I never knew I would have so many goals. Like, I can't keep up with all the things I want to do, you know. And, for me, it still gets hard. Like I said, May 21st will be 2 years sober off of drugs, and any drugs. I don't do drugs, period. You know what I mean? So it just ain't for me. I feel like that illegal activity I've done got myself, like, I feel like I'm allergic to it. It's like, I don't give it too much time. It's not my thing. It didn't work out for me, people can say what they want, and the people you're around are doing the same thing. They don't want you to leave because they want to leave and they don't feel like they can leave. So they're always going to try to keep you in the hood, keep you in the hotel room, keep you going to cop, making runs with them, or, whatever. They're going to, you might have a friend that's going to be like, yeah, man, that's good. I know you can do it. You can get clean. And say, hey, you want to come over here with me, man? We're going to go hang out, do this and do that after you just told them. Or the next day or in a couple days, Well, it's not your friend. If they want what was best for you and you told them what you're trying to do, they fall back, man. It's that simple. And it's hard, man. Fuck, that shit, that was one of the hardest things about me getting sober, because I had to enact that we call it bullshit. The new people, places, and things, man. I got the fuck out of Dodge, man. When I got clean, me and my wife, man, we just loaded up the car and went about 14 hours away, a little over 14 hours in Mobile, Alabama. Didn't know a soul. I just got 2 jobs over the phone, and we jumped in and started rocking out together. You know what I mean? That shit worked. I wasn't in an area where I grew up. Been around forever, all my life, off and on. So I didn't have that temptation. If I just go out to the store and run into somebody you got history with and they're doing bad, but you got love for them, none of them type of situations. I cut all that out, and I gave us some time to strengthen our sobriety, which was, it's Lord's blessing, because it's hard, man, because you don't want to feel like a piece. One of the things when you're living like that, you do, and you've been in the streets for years, hustling, or even in addiction, you do gain some people that you care about, and you don't want to feel like a piece of shit because you're turning your back on them, or you don't want to feel like self-righteous or anything. But that's crazy too, because you gotta protect your energy. You gotta protect you. But it makes it hard, because you don't want to feel like that. But you need to learn to feel good for you, because you deserve it. Nobody was destined to be an addict. Nobody was destined to be a drug dealer or a convict. None of that bullshit. These are things that we do. Granted, because we've been through some traumatic shit, it causes us to orient towards these lifestyles. I get it. But there's a time when you're making a conscious choice to do things and to stay involved in this shit, or not get clean. A lot of us have mental health issues compounded with addiction. So we do all these things because we're feeling a certain type of way anyway, but we're never even treating how we're feeling or learning how to heal from what we've been through, because we're staying numb, and we're living a life where we don't feel like we're living a life where we ain't really got to deal with life. We're not doing anything to heal, to get better, and to bring us to a mindset where we can really step outside of the misery and not feel like we got to tear ourselves down every day. Virtually it's just keeping you stuck in the misery, that. You know, because no matter how much you're out there getting high, no matter how much you're out there chasing money, there's those times when that pain, that misery sneaks up on you, and it puts you in a trance for a few, no matter what you're doing. And you'll think about it, what do you do? We'll make another sale, we'll pop another pill. Me, I used to shoot heroin, so I take another shot and go and drift on back away from them thoughts, because this shit, well, that's what we're running from the whole time, But addiction itself, especially with dope, when I started using dope, it was cool at first, man. I felt great, man. But then, like, when it gets on your back, it's like a whole nother misery that's way worse than the pain I was ever running from. Made me feel way worse about myself than I ever thought I could feel, even though I felt pretty bad about myself in life, This shit takes you down, makes you spiral down in a mental place. It ain't fit for nobody to survive that shit, man. It took, this shit went on for years. It took a lot of years in prison. Many, many overdoses later. By God's grace, I'm here. So now my goal is just to talk to people. There's going to be a lot in this podcast I got to offer, but you got to tune in. But the whole point of today is you can make a change. This isn't what life is meant for. You can do it. You got to make the choice and work towards it every day. You don't think about tomorrow. Just get through the day doing the next right thing. If you do that today, that's the only way you can guarantee your tomorrow having the best beginning as possible. Is doing everything you can today. When tomorrow gets here, we'll work on tomorrow. But today, we got to work on today. As many days as it takes, man. I love y'all, man. Hit that like button. Hit the subscribe button. And we'll be back here in 1 week again. Check out my short video clips and whatnot. Stay strong, man. Love you guys.